The year 1916 is one whose history is very well known to the Irish. The Easter Rising saw the Irish Volunteers seize control of the Government Post Office (GPO) building and St. Stephen's Green. They made attempts upon the Shelbourne Hotel and the Royal College of Surgeons, and they took various other locations in the city of Dublin. Other areas of Ireland saw isolated action as well, but the greatest part of the Easter Rising took place in Dublin. The actions were carried out against the British as a challenge to their rule and in defiance to the occupation of Ireland by British military forces. The rebel groups responsible sought an Irish Free State, liberated from governance by the United Kingdom. There were rebel actions prior to the Easter Rising, and there had been for some time, but it was this week of skirmishes in 1916 that gained worldwide attention. Even more crucially, it was the Easter Rising's aftermath that would ultimately galvanise the Irish people into achieving their cause of independence. The days of conflict, essentially a small-scale war which was primarily centred around Dublin, did involve some deaf individuals. One of them was a woman named Eileen Murray, and this is her story. Eileen Murray was born in Dublin on 8th of April 1890. She grew up living in the area of North Circular Road in Killarney Parade and Kenmare Parade. She was a member of Cumann na mBan, an Irish women's paramilitary organisation, similar to the Irish Republican Army, which was an auxiliary of the Irish Volunteers, one who shared their belief in the need for Irish independence and in Irish cultural renewal. As a military organisation, the women engaged in marksmanship training and other combat drills, in which Eileen also took part. The MSPC conducted a series of interviews in 1936 to verify who was involved in the Easter Rising, so that they could determine who was to receive a military pension for their service. Eileen Murray had an interview, but because she was deaf, she did not speak for herself. Her friend Bridie Richards delivered Eileen's answers for her. It seems that Bridie became Eileen's interpreter. However, we cannot say how it was that Eileen shared her story, whether she signed in ISL or communicated through writing or used some combination of gestures or home signs. We cannot be certain of the mode of communication used, as this detail of the interview was not recorded. Whatever the case, Bridie would have known Eileen's story well. Both women had been involved in the Cumann na mBan and had been serving together during Easter week. Eileen was a member of Cumann na mBan since 1915. Eileen was mobilised Easter week on Monday night. She and Bridie had been assigned to take up positions at the Hibernian Bank, and they quickly made their way there. Everything was quiet at the time that they arrived, and they were there a long time before the calm was shattered by gunfire breaking out along the street outside. Eileen reported seeing Captain Weaver shot and killed. There was heavy fighting, following which they were all ordered to go to the captain's funeral. Afterwards, Eileen saw that there was a hole gone through the wall where she had been at the Hibernian Bank. The officer in charge told Eileen and Bridie to move forward to the GPO. The two women made their way up the street. moving from one covered position to the next, until they finally crossed to the GPO, all the while coming under enemy fire. From then until Thursday, Eileen was involved in making camp, cooking, distributing meals to the Irish volunteers, and tending to their wounded. She prepared and administered bandages and performed the other duties of a battlefield nurse. Eileen returned home Thursday evening, but she took with her leaflets to pass out even in the midst of the shelling. On her way home, Eileen encountered a cordon of British troops. She evaded them and passed through their lines, and then she made her way home under great difficulty as the troops conducted a search for her. Although she eventually made her escape, the British positions surrounding the GPO from that time on meant that she would not be returning there again for active duty. This was the end of Eileen's recollections. Eileen's family had been strong loyalists, supporting the British, whereas Eileen fought for the cause of Irish independence. While the two women were at the GPO, Padraig Pearse, along with James Connolly, who was with him, two of the well-known leaders of the Easter Rising, Pearse had asked the two young women to go out onto the street and find out what public opinion of their actions had been. So here was at least one deaf woman who was in the company of some of the great leaders in Irish history. Eileen Murray and Bridie signed their names to the Roll of Honour, and the MSPC approved their pensions of £5, 14 shillings and 3 pence to be received annually. Both women were also awarded the 1916 medal by the Irish government, honouring them for their active duty service on Easter week 1916. Eileen died on the 22nd of October 1942 in St. Vincent's Hospital, Stephen's Green. She was 52 years old. She is buried at Mount Jerome alongside her mother, Kate Evans Murray. Eileen Murray, described by the MSPC as being a woman fully deaf, does not appear to have attended a school for the deaf, and we do not know if she communicated through ISL or by other means. Her grandniece, Carol, believes that Eileen may have received her education from Sinead de Valera, the wife of revolutionary leader and statesman Eamon de Valera, through classes conducted in her home. Eileen Murray was a deaf woman who showed a great deal of bravery during the Easter Rising, putting herself into the heart of the action. She was there in the GPO when it was being shelled, and she did her best to care for her comrades there and save the lives of the wounded. She risked her own life multiple times as well in getting to the GPO in the first place, and then again when she set out to gather information for Padraig Pearse. She continued to pass out leaflets to support the cause of independence for as long as she could, at the risk of arrest and execution. Eileen Murray was a deaf Irish revolutionary who was deserving of honour and recognition.